When we last left off, Ivan was realizing that he must do something to help rescue Ruby. The story. I look at the ring layered with fresh sawdust. I look at the skylight at the half-hidden moon. I just thought of a story, I say. It's a made-up. Is it a made-up story or a true one? Ruby asks. True, I say, I hope. Ruby leans against the bars. Her eyes hold the pale moon in them, the way a still pond holds the stars. Once upon a time, I say, there was a baby elephant. She was smart and brave, and she needed to go to a place called a zoo. What's a zoo? Ruby asks. A zoo, Ruby, is a place where humans make amends. A good zoo is a place where humans care for animals and keep them safe. Did the baby elephant get to the zoo? Ruby asks softly. I don't answer right away. Yes, I say at last. How did she get there? Ruby asks. She had a friend, I say, a friend who made a promise. How? It takes a long time, but Ruby returns to sleep. Ivan, Bob whispers, yawning, what did you say about the zoo? How are you going to do it? Suddenly, I feel as if I could sleep for 1,000 days. I don't know, I admit. You'll think of something, Bob says confidently, his voice trailing off as his eyes close. What if I don't? I ask, but Bob is already asleep. His little red feet dance, and I know he's running in his dreams. Remembering. Bob and Ruby sleep on. I don't sleep. I think about the promise I made to Stella and the pictures I've made for Ruby. And I remember it all. What they did. We were clinging to our mother, my sister and I, when the humans killed her. They shot my father next. Then they chopped off their hands, their feet, and their heads. Something else to buy. There is a cluttered, musty store near my cage. They sell many ashtrays there. It's made from the hands of a gorilla. Another Ivan. When morning comes and the parking lot glimmers with dew, I see the billboard on the highway. There I am, the one and only Ivan, bathed in the pink light of dawn. I look so angry with my furrowed brow and my clenched fist. I look the way my father did the day the men came. I am, I suppose, a peaceful sort. Mostly I watch the world go by and think about naps and bananas and yogurt raisins. But inside me, hidden, is another Ivan. He could tear down a grown man's limbs off his body. In the flicker of time it takes a snake's tongue to taste the air, he could taste revenge. He is the Ivan on the billboard. I stare at the one and only Ivan, at the faded picture of Stella, and I remember George and Mac on their ladders, adding the picture of Ruby to bring new visitors to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I remember the story Ruby told, the one where the villagers come to rescue. I hear Stella's kind, wise voice. Humans can surprise you sometimes. I look at my fingers coated in red paint of colored blood, and I know how to keep my promise. Days. During the days, I wait. During the nights, I paint. I worry when Mac takes Ruby into the ring. He carries the claw stick with him all the time now. He doesn't use it. He doesn't have to. Ruby isn't fighting back anymore. She does whatever Mac asks. Nights. I close my eyes. I dip my fingers into the paint. When I'm done with one piece of paper, I set it aside to dry. It's so small, just one sheet, and I'm going to need so many. I move on to the next and the next and the next. It's a giant puzzle, and I'm making the pieces one by one. By morning, my floor is covered with paintings. I hide the paintings under my pool of dirty water before Matt can see them. I don't want them to end up in the gift store, selling for $20 a piece, $25 with the frame. These paintings are for Ruby, every one of them. Project. Ivan, Ruby asks one morning when I'm trying to nap, why are you always so sleepy during the day? I've been working on a project at night, I tell her. What's a project? It's a thing, a painting. It's a painting for you, actually, I answer. Ruby looks pleased. Well, can I see it? Not yet. Ruby pokes with annoyance at her roped foot. She takes a breath. Ivan, do I have to do the shows with Mac today? I'm afraid so. I'm sorry, Ruby. Ruby dips her trunk in the water bucket. That's okay, she says. I already knew the answer. Not right. It's night again, and everyone's asleep. I look at the picture I've just made, one of dozens. It's smudged and torn, a muddy blur. I place it beside the others lining my floor. The colors are wrong. The shapes are off. It looks like nothing. It's not what I'm trying to create. It's not what it's meant to be. It's not right, and I don't know why. Across the parking lot, the billboard beckons, as it always does. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, the mighty Silverback. If I could use human words to say what I need to say, this would all be so easy. Instead, I have my pots of paint and my ragged pages. I sigh, my fingertips glow like jungle flowers, and I try again. Going nowhere. I watch Ruby plod around the ring in endless circles, going nowhere. Many visitors have been coming, but not too many. Max says Ruby's not picking up the slack after all. He says he's cutting back on our food. He says he's turning off the heat at night to save money. Ruby looks thinner to me, more wrinkled than Stella ever was. Do you think Ruby's eating enough? I asked Bob. I don't know. I tell you one thing, though. You sure you sure as heck painting enough, Bob wrinkles his nose. That stench is unbelievable, and I found yellow paint in my tail this morning. Bob isn't happy about my night painting. He says it's unnatural. Now, while I work on my art, Bob sleeps on Knot Tag. He claims he prefers her because she doesn't snore. He says her belly doesn't rise and fall like mine and make him seasick. What is this plan of yours anyway? Bob asks. If you explained it to me, maybe I could help out. He gnaws at his tail. Maybe I could come up with something that doesn't involve, paint. I can't explain it, I tell him. It's an idea in my head, but I can't get it right. And anyway, I'm almost out of supplies. I should have known I wouldn't have enough. I'll kick at my tire swing. I've sputtered with drops of blue paint. It's a stupid idea. I doubt that, Bob says. Smelly, yes. Stupid, never. Bad guys. Most of the day I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under Knot Tag. He prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of one of my paintings is visible. What's that, big guy? He asks. I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool. Underneath are all the paintings. He yanks out a piece of the paper and it slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which happens to be blue paint and yellow put together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. Not bad. Where did you get the paint anyway? George's kid? He considers. I'll bet I can get 30 for this picture, maybe even 40. Mac turns on my TV, and it's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun. He has a shiny star pinned to his chest. That means he's the sheriff, and he will be getting rid of all the bad guys. If this sells quickly, I'm going to get you some of that paint too, buddy, Mac says. He walks away with my painting, Ruby's painting. For a moment, I imagine what it would feel like to be a sheriff. Ad. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac's out of earshot. Looks like you might be getting some more supplies. I don't want to paint for Mac, I say. I'm painting for Ruby. You can do both, Bob says. You're an artist, after all. While I watch the movie, I'll try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe I think I could fold them once they're dry and stuff them in Knot Tag. It's a long movie. At the end, the sheriff marries the woman who owns the saloon, which is a watering hole for humans, but not horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. I like that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. And an ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not like Westerns where, the bad guy's supposed to be and there's hardly ever anything romantic unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before they face lick. I watch an ad for an underarm deodorant. How do you know who's who if they don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They just don't notice because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like tickets Mac sells. They laugh and they enjoy their ice cream as they walk down a path. They pause to watch two sleepy eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in long grass. Tigers! I know because I saw them once on a nature show. Words flash on the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at a kind of animal. Elephants, old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. It's a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends. The wall that says, "You are this and we are that," and that is how it will always be. It's not a perfect place. Even just a few fleeting seconds on my TV screen, I can see that. A perfect place would not need walls. But that is the place that I need. I gaze at the elephants and then I look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail: rocks, trees, tails, trunks. It's the picture I need to paint. Imagining. It's different now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head, things that don't exist. At least not yet. Knot tag. I pull out knot tag stuffing. Carefully, I fill it with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple a few of them. Bob tries to settle on her for a nap. "You've killed her," he complains. "I had to," I say. "I miss your stomach," Bob admits. "It's so spacious." When Julia arrives, she notices that I've used my paints and my paper. "Wow," she shakes her head. "You are one serious artist, Ivan." One more thing. My finger painting has sold for more than $40 with the frame. Mac is happy and he brings me a huge pile of paper and a big bucket of paint. "Get to work," he says. I paint for Mac during the day and for Ruby at night. I nap when I can. But my nighttime picture isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor of my cage side by side, the cement is almost completely covered. But something is still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. "There's Ruby," he says, pointing with his nose. "That's the zoo. There are other elephants. What's wrong with it?" "It needs one more thing," I say. Bob groans. You're being a temperamental artist. What could be missing?" I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain to Bob that it isn't done yet. "I just have to wait," I say. "Something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally ready." So, what events come together to change Ivan's acceptance of his situation and help him grow in his own strength and wisdom? How do you know that Ivan must be changing? And what do you think his plan is to help save Ruby?